I've had this discussion so many times over the last 20 years. Maybe even more so nowadays, because now I'm starting to do this stuff and try to get a little more in line with my sort of personal development, story sharing kind of thing. But man, so many people that came from the sort of skateboarding and hardcore music and punk rock background subculture, like they're all doing shit, man. Like and proof positive from your film as well, your documentary, is like it's in all different areas, man. Not everyone became an executive of this, but they're the fucking executive of their own little business. We all carry like one common thread through the whole fucking thing. Everybody, every last person, dude, like no shit. Like we all have the same thing, right? Like we're all tied to that, like the integrity and that doing it yourself, self-reliant, like creativity, like my rules, my way. Like it doesn't matter what everybody told me it's supposed to be. It's like, it's mine. It's solely mine. And we just go from there. And everyone starts from that. And then there's just lots of little, nuance outside of that.
All right. Welcome to episode 11 of the Codec Projects podcast. This episode, we are talking to Brian Melville. I met Brian back, I think, in 1997 when 10 Year Fight was doing a tour with Battery and Eyelid. He was one of the guitar players in Eyelid. We got along really well, and we've remained friends over the years. Brian is also quite the entrepreneur. He has his own real estate agency in Southern California, and he's done really well with that. He's also recently released a podcast called This Is Now. We talk about getting into punk and skateboarding, just trying to balance life while being in a punk band and trying to work in a corporate environment. And along the way, just finding happiness through taking control of your own life. All right, give it a listen. I think you'll enjoy this one.
My name's Brian Melville. I'm a local real estate agent here in sunny Southern California. Been doing this now 16 years as the self-employed guy. I've officially crossed the threshold that I've been self-employed longer than I was ever employed by somebody else. Crazy.
I picked this up. I think you might even mention it on one of your recent podcasts, but just don't ask for permission.
No.
It's like that's another big thing. I think it's just like you were telling a story about when you were, I think you're working for I don't want to say the name.
Corporate. Just I had the corporate gig, having to be like a henchman, doing shit that they wanted me to do, compromising myself, kind of stuff.
Yeah, and you were supposed to basically set some dude up for a meeting for him to get canned. No pun intended, but
totally.
But you took it upon yourself to go the other way and work with them and get them up to speed. So when they came in, they were just kind of blown away, and I think you said it was personal, but they wanted to get rid of them, and you wanted to make it work, but you didn't ask permission to do that. From what I could tell, you took it upon yourself to do it.
I think the lessons that I have, a big part of the story, I had met with a dude. He's like a coach, he's a business coach, life coach guy. I know of him here in town. And one day we had coffee. So we just had this great conversation. He's like, dude, you should just write a book. And I'm like, I suppose we could all write a book, right? I just never thought anything that I have to share is book worthy. So I kind of decided at that moment to just do the podcast. Cause I'm not a great writer, but I know how to speak and share what I went through. And the best part about that is you don't really have to make it up either, right? There's no making it up because you lived it. But to that point, one of the lessons that I got from that early corporate shit was I was like the punk rock kid with the shaved head, and I was trying to fight my way into the corporate game, which I had my foot in the door the whole time, even when I would take off, and then we would like when we went on tour, and then I would come home and I would go to work. But I was always the oldest guy in the band, so I had the job, and everybody else was kind of like a student, so they had other shit going on with school. But I had if I don't do music, I have to keep my foot in the door with the job. So here I am trying to live this shaved head, eyebrow ring, tattoos, and then still wanted to get these people to take notice of me, and then they were. And one day I decided, okay, I really want to go further with the corporate thing. And I had to kind of assimilate into that a little bit. Aesthetically, I had to grow my hair. I had to kind of change my ways a little bit, which was an awesome learning experience because it really made me say, you know what? Maybe this whole external thing wasn't exactly the route I needed to go. I mean, if I'm going to commit to going here, why not get on the inside? Because it's not the external. They're not going to respond well to me with a shaved fucking head the whole time. Too young to be bald, and they're like, okay. So I just got in and I started doing that work. And to your point, yeah, I was doing really well. So they're like, all right, man, listen, Melville, we need you to, like, this guy sucks. What's wrong with your team member, right? And that's making me look bad as a manager. So right. I was just like, it was like he and I together, though. See, it wasn't like I'm taking pity on the underdog. I was like, this is like an attack on me too. I look like shit if he looks like shit, but they liked me, fortunately. So I didn't want to like can somebody. I'm not going to just like, hey man, I'll do you in, so I can keep my success going. So instead I would just like, all right, dude, look, your performance has been shit. I've been riding you hard. The powers that be are coming after us. They want to come out and inspect your territory and take a look at all, the stuff that you have to do, whatever. That's just another whole bullshit story. But what I found at that moment was putting your arm around somebody and saying, come on, dude, I'm here to help you. Fuck, this is your livelihood. You got kids. You're going to go home. So if I'm going to have to sit here and be the guy to fire you, that's going to make me feel like shit as a person, but it's also not going to do you any good financially. So let's go fix it, right? And then you go fix it. And it's like all of a sudden the people come out and they're like, well, what happened? I thought everything was supposed to look so awful. This guy's supposed to be gone next week. I'm like, I don't know, man. He had a turnaround. And I just remember saying that, like, isn't the goal to have your company doing well and like a great representation? If I turned a guy around, isn't turning him around to be a better salesperson, better at marketing, better with his customers? Isn't that the goal as the business owner? Like, I'm a business owner now. That's my goal still.
Right. You would think so.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But
sorry. I was going to say, that's what you think, that they would be looking for, that's leadership, really. Like,
yep.
And you would think that they would want to, I don't know how that turned out for you in the long run with that company, but you would think they would be looking at you and eyeing you up for a promotion for doing that type of thing. But
yeah, it ended up working out. To be honest with you, it did. They're just like, okay, fine, like, so be it. Jesus. I mean, it's kind of hard, right? If someone starts performing the way that you originally wanted them to perform, the reason you were sort of writing him up or riding his ass, when you finally do that, what do you have to say when he's doing what you wanted? Oh, okay. Next target. I'll move on to the next person.
Right.
So, and I just built my little army, my team. I had 4 or 5 sales reps underneath me. So I just was like, I would get in the huddle. You guys, it's us versus them. See, I started with that shit right there. I'm not those typical manager guys like you're going to have. Like, I'm with you. Let's go do this and make things look really awesome so they have nothing to say except, wow, these guys all shine. And I was never trying to get the glory for myself. If they do well, I do well. So, it was cool, man. I kind of went off of a different like trajectory. I was never meant to be a musician. That was cool. And I had so much fun, and the lessons are endless, as you know.
Yeah.
But fuck, man, it was time to carry that to another direction in life.
I was trying to think of this earlier. I think the last time I actually saw you in person or spoke with you even was, it was probably right after when I came out to visit after we toured, which is seems crazy. I mean, we've kept in contact here or there, but actually in person was probably over 20 years ago.
For sure.
And at that point, I remember I came out and we skated, and obviously we were in bands, not together, but we toured together in our separate bands. How did you get into skateboarding? Just briefly kind of touch on that. And then how do we end up crossing the country together in beat up cargo vans?
Dude, first of all, best touring mates ever. Like, you changed the game, like being a weird Southern California band. But listen, as far as you go back to the skateboarding thing, this is sort of like the genesis for most of us anyhow. I wasn't a kid that was in love with school, but I wasn't horrible at school. I just kind of did my thing and it was cool. And then one day, it was 1985, I was graduating junior high school, about to go into high school, and my parents asked me what I wanted, like, as a graduation gift. So no shit, like, if you can see it on your camera here, but like that Rat Bones deck behind me, my first one was hot pink, man. The local surf shop over here had that, and I got a hot pink Rat Bones deck, and I was just like, oh man, skateboarding's fucking cool. I had my blue grip tape on it and white Bones 3's wheels, and I just kind of, like, skate shops back then were like just the kids all looked different, right? The hair was kind of bleached out, and some kids were wearing like Town and Country surf stuff or Maui and Sons, and then some kids started wearing Bones Brigade stuff. That was all kind of the thing. So I just like the minute I stepped on the skateboard, it was kind of like that full immersion in like, okay, I'm just going to go do this because it was summer, right? And then I'd see older dudes skating ditches near my house, and they're like flowing down the street, and they started doing slides, and I'm like, this is crazy. And I grew up in the San Fernando Valley during a drought. So my first experience of a skateboard was like nailing roller skate trucks onto like long ass 2x4s and 2x6s and get on it with your buddy on your knees, like 2 or 3 of you, because they were so long, and we'd push down the street. And then you go to the backyard pool because we had this drought, and I would watch these dudes shred pools, but I wasn't skating the pool. I was like, no, I was a BMX kid. So I would jump in those pools with my bike at the time and just kind of like carve around the bottom and be like, oh shit, this is cool. So when the skateboard came, I was like, oh, so this is what they were doing. And I just found myself enjoying it. I wasn't a great skateboarder at all. Like most things for me in my life, like I always have to work at it really hard. I wasn't trying to be a great skateboarder. I wasn't blessed with that. I wasn't going to be the dude innovating or creating tricks, but I sure as hell was going to have a lot of time. But it was more about the attitude, the aesthetic. And then the music is what really started that. I mean, if you fast forward the skateboarding thing, it's like going to a ditch and hearing dudes listening to Ill Repute or Minor Threat and 7 Seconds. Like I was even listening to some straight edge stuff before I even knew what straight edge was, right? I'd be like, my friend would have a GBH tape, and then there was like Exploited, and then 7 Seconds would pop on, and then some Minor Threat. And kind of like, being a kid growing up with like rock music, I was like more gravitating towards the aggressive stuff anyways. Like, from like, the 70s, I'm listening to Billy Squier and shit on the radio. My dad's working in the garage. And then you get into like, you're in school and you start listening to Judas Priest or whatever. And then like you finally discover Metallica for the first time when you hear it, and it's like really aggressive. But then you go skateboarding and you hear something that's even more aggressive than Metallica. In my mind, I'm like, wow, the 7 Seconds or Descendants or anything. It just all sounded so different to me. And I kind of made that connection, and there was just like that evolution, like so many of us, it just progressed from like 1985 to like, gosh, what? So 89, I was a senior in high school, and some kid hands me a No for an Answer LP. That was my first straight edge record, a Thought Crusade. And literally, I started going to shows. I'm like, oh, fuck. And then I was getting all the positivity. I'm like, this is crazy. Like my first show was RKL Final Conflict Bulimia Banquet. It was like a full-blown punk rock nightmare, dude, where I was like, holy shit, I'm going to die. I'm going to die here. Like fucking Liberty spikes everywhere. Everyone had a leather jacket. I'm like this fucking clean cut kid from Santa Clarita. Like, oh my God, what is this? So once we got into the straight edge thing, the first straight edge show I got all the ticket stubs too. It was like a Instead, Uniform Choice, Social Justice, Slapshot.
Whoa.
Yeah, dude, that's some good shit. I still have that ticket stub here. I have this like old graffiti book, and I've taped everything in there like a fucking moron. So the tape has now like opaqued everything, but I have those.
That wasn't that like when they recorded for that Iceman Cometh 7.
No, that was later, but I was at that show too. But yeah, man, it was just cool to kind of go from that like transition along the way of skateboarding right into like kind of like straight edge and positive hardcore. And I still was never a musician. I didn't even own an instrument, right? So here we are. Now it's 92, and I ended up meeting Dan. The kids in school, right? You saw a kid wearing a Judge shirt. You're like, oh, you're my best friend. Fuck yeah, look. Yeah. I don't care who you are. You're wearing a hardcore shirt. So you just talk to him. And like locally, Dan was like just out of high school. I was out of high school for a while. 1992, he's living. This is on a No Echo interview too, by the way. I talk about this on that Eyelid retrospective that he did, which was that Adam Yo did write up for us in No Echo. It's so awesome. But reliving those memories, talking about meeting Dan, and his parents had like moved away to like Northern Cal and left this like fucking 16-year-old kid, 17-year-old kid or whatever, how old he was, in a house by himself. Hey, we're going up north. Have fun. And so Dan was like playing. He was already playing bass and shit. So we're at this house and they're putting on shows. And that's when I first met like the guys from Social Justice, and some local bands were playing in Dan's fucking living room on a crate, like a pallet.
Wow.
I swear to God, in a living room of a single-story house with an 8-foot ceiling, dude. Craziness. And they like, you'd be there and I start singing along and we're having a good old time in the guy's living room. And then I just, I wanted to start singing in a band. So the minute like one of those bands broke up and they needed a singer, I was like, fuck, consummate stage potato type guy anyway. So I sang for a band. So Dan and I were in our first band, Consequence.
Okay.
And then whenever that ran its course, like one day, Dan and I were now living together with my dad because I was still living at home. And my parents were kind of split up at the time. So me and Dan then had our own crash pad at my house because my dad was always at work. So then Dan's teaching me how to play guitar and he's playing drums and I'm just fucking around with the guitar in my living room. And one day he meets some dudes who were in Eyelid, the first iteration of that band. And then they needed to like get a new singer and a second guitar player. So Dan's like, hey, how about Melville? And that's when Russ and I tried out at the same day to get into the band, which is wild. We did like this audition. So I mean, the long story of that short is like I just kind of like fell into it and didn't even know how to play guitar and like, hey, dude, put your finger right here. And before you knew it, we were on a tour.
You didn't know how to play when you got in the band? Or like
not really.
Wow.
No.
Okay.
I still don't.
That sounds like the entire 10-Year Fight lineup almost.
I still don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, Dan was like a fucking musical prodigy anyways. Andrew was a great ass fucking drummer. I mean, the kid is fantastic, right? Russ could just sing. I mean, I'm not saying that doesn't take talent. It's just his talent. He didn't have to play an instrument. His voice was the instrument, but it was awesome. And I think like myself and Mike Machin were both kind of like, we were both in the same league. We were just kind of figuring it out as we go. We both were like, whatever. We always called it the hot seat, man. Cause like in the band, it was like, so as the band starts to get a little more serious, right? Oh, who's slacking? Who sucks? And then I remember like Mike started taking bass lessons and I remember always having like tremendous anxiety that like at any moment my turn on the hot seat was coming. They're going to be like, dude, you got to get out of here. You don't shred. Or something, something weird. And dude, honest to God's truth, man, in 2018, I joined up with Russ and his band Fake Figures, a really good band. And I realized how much I still suffer even from that anxiety that like, oh God, like I'm playing with like Russ and Travis from Atreyu's in the band. He's fucking a shredder, right? Bob Bradley from Scars of Tomorrow and the drummer Steve is in all kinds of band. Like these dudes play. And here I am. Yeah. Hey, let's just get Melville. He's fucking down, right? Like I was having a blast. But I still felt like all that, like, oh God, I suck. As a musician, I'm awful.
I want to touch back on that in a few minutes, but because I can relate to that 100%. I think I still feel that shit to this day in a lot of respects. So we toured together. Shit, we only made it halfway through the tour, I think, because our van broke down. But for some reason, we connected pretty well. And then after the tour, we hung out. I remember skating ditches with you. And I think, was it Skate Street we went to in Ventura or like some big skate park? You were a fun guy to hang out with, and I liked you a lot. But you seemed like you weren't satisfied. And I could relate to that a lot. But you seemed like you wanted more with your life, and it just wasn't happening. And you looked, to me, man, like no offense, but you looked tired and a little bit bummed.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, and that's how I would feel when I'd get home from tour a lot, or just like for absolutely no reason when I shouldn't. Like things seem like they should be going well, but I just was like, and looking on it back now, to me, I was like, shit, I was fucking depressed as fuck, like, and I never talked to anyone about it, really. I probably haven't talked to anyone about it even this much, to be honest with you.
Right.
But
welcome to the couch.
Yeah, how did you get from that point? First of all, am I right? Were you like disappointed in like just life at that point? Because it seemed like you might have been, and maybe I caught you you were on an off day. I don't know, but
yeah. So let me frame it for you, because there's something that I ran across the other day on a Facebook memory. It literally popped up within the last week, and last time I posted it was 8 years ago. But my mom came home. She gave me like this baby book, like a light blue colored box that had all these shit like crafts and things that I had done in school. And there was a thing that I had written when I was fucking like 8 or 9. I think I was 8 in school. You're not going to believe this sentence, but this will tie in nicely. I said on this thing, the project, the most important thing to me when I grow up is to be a happy person. I wrote this out, dude, when I was like 8.
It's a pretty smart kid.
Dude, it's crazy though, because like I don't have a lot of recall of certain things, right? I have a great memory in so many ways, but life is weird for me. There's flashes. I can remember being at Skate Street with you. I can remember being in my front of my house because I have a picture of you. You know, I got an HTO shirt on. I'm sitting there with my friend Brian, who's now dead, right? Like we're sitting here. Like I got those little memories because you can piece it together. But when you say something to me like, "Hey, you didn't seem all that happy," like to me, that's like a gift in a way. Number one, because right now I realize that like I've come full circle from that. Like the full manifestation of whatever that frustration was starting even before that time when you noticed it, right? So I can remember a time sitting on the bed with the long ass phone cord all the way down the fucking hall while you're talking to some girl when you're 15, you know, oh yeah, the little, you know, that looks like a spaghetti cord like I got right here with my headphones right now.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just want to do big shit with my life. One day I'm going to do something. And this is where I started realizing that I was manifesting what I wanted in my life. And I still do it to this day because it's not about obsessing about where you land on that journey. It's about saying it out loud. And it's crazy to me because I do this with my wife still, man. Like 21 years together, we sit and I just say shit. We're going to do this. And I don't go put a lot of time into making every little thing that I declare happen. Mm-hmm. But I was doing this all along the way. But back then, I was like very frustrated, right? I didn't go to college, number one.
Right.
I was always I'm 49. So you're below, you're not 40.
I forget that sometimes. Yeah, I'm 46. So not too much.
So we were a little closer, right? So that might be some of where you and I connected, and even Mike Machin in my band being a little bit older. But like there's like a 10-year difference between like Dan and Russ and certainly Andrew in the band, right? I was always the oldest guy. So like I felt like I was at that always, you got to shit or get off the pot. So I always had one foot in the corporate door, and then I had one foot in the I want to play and be punk rock skateboard guy. And I want to like go live in a box. And even if that meant we had to try to make our band bigger than hardcore, like I wanted to do that.
Right.
We would never have done that with that fucking name. And we would never have done that with the dudes involved in the band at that time. It just wasn't meant to be. But I wanted to do that, even though I wasn't even that good, right? So then there's this other game that you play in your head. But I wished that for myself, but when I was realizing that wasn't happening, there was probably some sadness in there, like, okay, fuck. And I was growing out and away from the band and from all of that stuff because I was realizing that I had to keep putting my foot further. So this is where you say, you know, fill in the gaps. You were seeing like the later onset of it, to which like then when you and I aren't connected for years, this is me going all in and just almost, I mean, I took 10 whole years like completely away. 10 to 12 almost. Like I ignored everything, everyone, didn't look at a single record. Do you know what I mean? Like all my shit was put away. I sold gear. And then it was like 2013. I started playing my guitar again, pulled out some records, started fucking around with writing music. And then this 13 to 2018 started this whole other thing while I was still now much more established, but then reconnecting with that part. But the sort of sadness part, man, that level of dissatisfaction is a big driver for me. I'm motivated a lot. I know you've watched it. You had to have. If you've watched the Bones Brigade documentary, I mean, I could watch that 100 times in a row. It doesn't matter.
That thing's great.
And dude, it makes me cry every fucking time. But like Lance Mountain is like somebody in that documentary that I really relate to because he was like, oh, I wasn't that talented. I wasn't supposed to be there. These dudes were all like prodigies. These dudes all ripped. These guys were all this or that. And he said in there's one point in the documentary where he says it like fear and insecurity is like a big like motivator, right, for him. And I think a lot of successful people that I know, I'm extremely fearful all the time. Not like I'm like running from my shadow, but I always feel like every fucking day, including today, like how the fuck am I going to do this again? Like you get to a level, how do I maintain success? How do I keep doing this? Or how am I really going to break through? How I feel like right now with all that's going on in the world, like I'm a little clouded, but I feel like I have time to sit back and analyze a little bit. So then the fear comes from like, dude, what's going to happen? Am I going to be able to break through this little hump? Like what's the next thing for me? Do you know what I'm saying? You ever feel that way where it just,
I do.
It just like, it's like it's almost like you have to reinvent yourself all the fucking time in your head. People from the outside don't see you as reinventing yourself, but in my head, my wife says it all the time. She goes, man, the gears are fucking turning, aren't they? And I'm like, they're always turning. It's like, there's not a moment where my brain is quiet and I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to kick it. Dude, I'm either on like what I call YouTube University. I don't watch TV very much at all. I'll watch documentaries and things that I'm interested in, but I'm mostly interested in learning and growing and filling my head and my heart with stuff that matters. And that's the only way I can combat that sort of frustration, is by continuing to like find stuff. You know, I started doing t-shirt design for a company that I wanted to start, and I don't know how to fucking design shit. So I buy some vector packs and you do some shit and you start manipulating and you start learning the process of doing it. And then you develop the skill. And now back to the punk rock thing, I'm not relying on anybody.
Right.
I'm building my life. I'm doing, man. See, I talk about this shit all the time. There's people that fucking do, and then there's people who just take, and they sit here and bitch, and they want the fucking world to save them, dude. And I'm not a very popular guy amongst like my punk rock friends. You know, like I remember when, like, you remember when we were younger, you felt like, fuck the government, man. Yeah. It's like, oh, anarchy or whatever. I don't need anybody. The government's fucked. And every issue of the day was like a thing for you.
Right.
And now, like, every one of these people is like waiting for the government to help them. And I have this great debate, like on his group text with a few of my friends, you know, here and there. It's like, I've never seen so many sellout fucking punks that want the government to save them now. I'm like, you got to go save your fucking self.
Right. Well, it's
weird.
The punk thing is kind of a mixed message. And that's kind of, I think one of the messages that I like getting out there is that, you know, the typical punk rock response is that, you know, business is bad, capitalism is bad. And it's like, that's just, to me, that's not the case. Without getting political about all this stuff, it's just like, no, like, and what's the company? I have this. I tagged him on Instagram because I used the sticker or the slogan in the doc, and I had it up there the other day, and I forget the company's name, but
no one's coming to save you.
Yeah, the one. It's no one's coming to save you. You know, it's up to you. No one's coming to. It's like, it's perfect. You know, it's like
I say that shit all the time. Go through my feed, man. I posted that today. No one's gonna save you but you.
And the thing is, it took me a long time to learn that. I remember, like, you mentioned not going to college, man. You're probably better off. Like, I went because I felt, you know, it's no one's fault but my own. Like, I gave into the pressure of not wanting to disappoint people and taking out this big loan. That was just, I got this loan hanging over my head to this day. And it was like, I just figured, okay, well, if I play their game, they tell me I go and I do this thing and I'm gonna, on the other side of it, there it is. You know, there's my pot of gold, and I might not be, you know, playing in my band, touring the world, but at least I'll be like set. And so I did that. And it, you know, eventually it took me years. But even at the end of that, it's not true. It's just not true. Like, it doesn't matter what you have. You still got to work for it every fucking day. So that whole punk rock idea that, you know, capitalism's bad and you have to, you know, wait for a handout. I don't think that's true. I think we should all try to help each other out where we can. Yep. And I think, try not to leave anyone behind who legitimately needs the help. But at the same time, I think people need to, pick themselves up by the bootstraps sometimes. And not everyone starts off in the same place. I get all that for sure. But I think, I think there's a way for people to do it more than they are today. I think
I might be able to articulate this because
I'm having trouble
dancing
around it. But
no, listen, it doesn't even have to be political. It's really nothing, right? I didn't go to college. Here's how I started, right? And I tell this to young people all the time. Like, a kid wants to interview with me about real estate. One of my clients' kids, he's just graduating college. He's like, hey, I want to get involved in real estate, right? So his dad gave him my phone number. He texted me. I said, okay, I'm down to talk. And the younger generation is just not like me, right? Like, he's like, if you really want to get into this, like, your fucking text message wasn't that compelling to me, but okay, we'll see what happens. But I share this with young people that you just got to go for it, man. Like, I used to I would open the fucking phone book. Okay, I'd start in the yellow pages under alarms. Mm-hmm. Dude, I installed alarms. I installed floors. I was a fiberglass fabricator, a mold maker, appliance delivery guy. I did a bunch of fucking jobs. I ran a 4-color huge printing press, dude. I didn't even know how to do it. I just hustled my way in and said, I don't have skills, but I'm a quick learner and I'm reliable as fuck. I didn't say as fuck, but I'm reliable and you can count on me. Give me a shot, right? And I got jobs that way. And it wasn't until 1992 when someone that I knew turned me on to the corporate job. And I went from that job in 92 to 2003. And then I moved from 2003 to 2005 with another job. And I literally 2005, I became self-employed, right? But those early experiences of having to go earn it are still with me. Like, I just don't rely on anybody, dude. There's no contingency plan, bro. My fucking family is broke as fuck. I'm the one that has the money. There's nobody that's going to help me at all if I'm destitute tomorrow. I might be surprised. There might be some people who to reach out, right? Support comes in places you don't know, but I don't need it. But I have a healthy respect for the fact that this is on me. My resourcefulness is do or die at all times. That's just how I work, period. Like, that alone, work ethic will carry you.
Yep.
Period.
I think that's a lot of it is just is the work ethic and just going
Never
out.
quit.
Don't quit.
Never quit.
And so with me, like, you know, not to harp on the college thing, but like one of the reasons I went to college, right, was because I said, I don't really want to fucking be here, but you know what? At least they'll probably have the computer equipment that I can't afford. You know, like, right. I wanted to edit video. I was like, I can't afford that shit. It was like $100,000 systems. There's no way. So that was one of the reasons I went. Turns out they had 2 systems in the whole college. I got on it for about 5 minutes. When I ended up quitting, I remember working temp jobs, and like, they were type of jobs where you do like 5 minutes of work and they pay you, you know, you just warming a seat. So I'd spend a lot of time on the computer just looking for jobs. Anything had to do with video production, like all day long. Applied probably to 100 different places. I finally got my foot in the door to a place, and like a couple months later, my boss quit, and I was like the guy in charge, and I had no fucking idea what I was doing when I walked in the door. And so I know exactly what you're saying. I had a bunch of jobs like that, but you know, most of them I didn't last too long just because they were bullshit, you know. But the point is, if you want to get in there's a way to do it, and it's gonna take a lot of persistence, really, I think, you know.
My buddy Tim was I think he fought in Strike Force even one time, got his ass whooped by Jason Mayhem Miller. So he lives in Georgia, you know, and he's a uber successful real estate agent. I mean, massively successful, right? Hometown hero, Southern boy, 2 missing front teeth. You know, he's got fake teeth, and everybody fucking knows Tim. But man, he says it with his Forrest Gump ass like accent. He's like, Brian, I'm gonna be the hardest worker in the room. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, anybody can beat me at anything, but you're never gonna outwork me, which means I'm gonna win at the end, dude. It's like, that's the point, dude. Yep. People are talented and some people are skilled. And I find that the naturally talented people usually get lazy, right? Like, that's the dude in school that just like, he always had everything. Shit came easy. Maybe he was good looking. Maybe he was a sporto kind of guy. Like, hey, it's cool. And then there's other people, like, I feel like this, like, I felt like I was in the underclass, right? Like, yeah. Like you know, you're getting punches thrown at you. You're getting called, you know, slurs like that would make people cringe today. That was just commonplace back then just because you rode a skateboard. Yeah. But man, I'll tell you what, we built character, and then we built resourcefulness. We built community. We learned how to fucking fight a little bit. Yeah. Right. Like, so like all of these things, dude, like at the time were so bad. Like, I'm still hurt and traumatized by so much of this shit. I shared on my podcast the other day, the bully. That motherfucker's hitting me, dude. I'm like, people don't understand what it's like to have people hit you. Like, when you're sitting there defenseless and some dude wallops you in the fucking face, like, that stuff's hard, dude. Yeah. So you carry that. I'm 49. It's not left, and it still has like a thread of everything that I do. But here's the good news. In retrospect, as we sit here now, you and I, like, when we're doing it, like, I'm like, thank God for that, dude. I'm glad I got my ass whooped. I'm glad somebody challenged the fuck out of me. I'm glad I felt like shit. I mean, dude, but if I was a little weaker, man, I could have been one of those people that kill themselves, you know? Like, these are the people, man, that I deal with every day. I'm watching the signs for people who aren't as tough to make it through. And I didn't think I was that resilient or tough at the time. I literally still to this day feel like at any moment, like, I don't know what I'm capable of handling, right? The world's changing. My parents are getting older. I haven't experienced a lot of death yet.
Yeah.
Like nothing. I feel like I got all of the shit still going to come, right? And I felt that way back then. But guess what happens? The world teaches you. You do it, and it's like, all right, I made it.
Yeah.
But our obligation is to really share, which is probably why I wanted to start sharing my stories, right? People feel the same way, man. We carry the same traumas. I bet you if we sat here and picked apart our lives, we're gonna find all of the same shit. Like I grew up with no money. I felt like a little poor. I wasn't poor though, but I just had a healthy respect for wanting more. I got picked on, so I felt like I always wanted to be a little bit tougher. I but like it's just the way it goes. Like so this goes right back to what you said. You felt like you seemed like a guy who wanted more. Here's why, dude. Like from the moment I came into this earth and grown up, I saw people around me that had more than me, and I never said, well, you owe me that, or how do I steal that? Although there was moments of stealing to get it when I was younger. But like I just said, how do I work for that? So I started hustling, man. I would sell shit. I would go steal shit and sell shit to buy shit. And then I'm like, okay, that's going to lead to jail. A couple of my friends went to jail, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. Why am I doing that?
Right.
And then I just evolved to like a normal, well-adjusted, not even well-adjusted. Fuck, I'm still maladjusted as fuck, but just, you move past it. Some people grow out of juvenile behavior and some do not. I mean, I can't tell you how many like dudes that I know that are like 45, 50 that still act like they're fucking 20. Like they're stunted. They're stunted, right? And so here's one question I want to ask you. Because do you know Scott Viscomi?
I know of him on Instagram, and I believe he's friends with Greg Walsh.
He is.
I don't know him personally.
So I talk with Scott, here and there through, like Insta and stuff. And we've talked on the phone. We do some coaching with Jocko Willink and this Echelon Front group and stuff like that. It's all about leadership. And man, he is like a super intense guy. But we had a quick discussion about stuff like this like a week and a half ago, where it was like, and I'm going to put him on my show too, and me and you should do my show as well.
Yeah.
There was something about the limitations, and you even kind of touched on it a little bit about the punk rock being a weird thing. Is I feel like there's still so much of what, even as far as I've come with myself, like I still feel like the punk rock thing's holding me back in some way, because like I'm always holding on to the principles, and I'm not trying to say that you should your values should be compromised, but there's just like I still feel like I always have one fucking toe over the line. Like I still want to go play. Yeah. Like I want to go play and fuck around. And I'm not saying that that's bad either. It's necessary. But 2018, I took a diversion. I was getting burned out in my life and my business, and I had that opportunity to join Fake Figures, and we started playing a little bit, and we did like a 9-show run with like Will Haven and did some rad stuff, and then we played the Warped Tour. I mean the 47th stage out by the parking lot with 3 people walking by that would most likely throw a beer at you.
Right,
cool.
Right.
But I played the Warped Tour. I was like, yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
People think it sounds cool. Listen, I thought it was cool because even my old ass was like, we did it.
Right.
But that punk rock thing has always kind of kept me. It occupies it's like a fucking part of my brain that I can't defrag. Like it's over here, and I'm like, okay, I just can't put the fucking key in it because I either don't want to fully open it and throw it away, right?
Yeah.
I'm holding on to it because I'm sentimental. I just don't know what it is. There's something about it, and nobody ever talks about maybe where they've been limited by hanging on to some of it too. Like despite it all.
Well, first of all, I think it and maybe this is just from in hindsight or from the outside looking in, because you're talking about it, I think it offers so much more value than it detracts, that it's worth holding on to.
I agree.
That's just the first point. But the other thing I wanted to say is I went through a similar. I mean, from probably age 30 to 40, at least 10 years. I mean, my life is so fragmented. It's hard to remember. I may have sort of done a little bit. Yeah, I did a little bit. I did do a band there for a little bit, but like I pretty much hung up all that. I hung up I put the bike away. I was like, I'm getting too hurt. I'm getting older. I got to be responsible. I got married, had kids, and it's like I can't be skateboarding and hurting myself, or riding my bike and hurting myself. I got to get serious. I had before that was trying to do a business with Ian McFarlane from Blood for Blood. We were doing we were making our documentary films and like.
Didn't he do he did the Godfather?
Which was amazing.
Dude, that documentary was rad.
Yeah, it's awesome. And so like I was doing all this, like still going after my dreams, and then like basically hit 30 and I was just kind of like, this isn't fucking working. Like I got it. Like we weren't making any money. It was like, I got to, I went back to school. I was like, okay, I'll cash that in. And that fucking went nowhere. So then I was just working jobs that I didn't like. And like, even up until, I worked going into an office for, I don't know, a year or two. And I was like, I can't fucking do this. I was losing my mind. Yeah. So I went out on my own and I'm doing okay, but I'm still primarily not doing the work that I really want to do. You know what I mean? Which at some point, there's different ways to look at that. It's like, yeah, you got to put on your big boy pants and go to work and do what you got to do to make a living. But I think you can't altogether give up the things that you love, or you're just going to be miserable. I mean, sometimes you have to do it for periods of time because you got to get through shit. You got to like you said, you hit a point where you established yourself enough where you could give yourself that little almost reward to go out and play and do the Warped Tour. You know what I mean? Which you probably wouldn't have been able to do if you hadn't put in the work in ahead of that, because you would have been struggling the whole time trying to, get in a van to cross the country to come home and go out and like me, I know personally, like I come home broke and have to go and deliver pizza. And I think I felt that pressure even back 20 plus years ago. And I could see you were feeling kind of the same thing. It's like, I want to fucking do this, but it's not working. And then you have like reality where you can't pay your bills and you don't want to live with your parents for the rest of your life. And you're just trying to, it's like just growing pains, it's like, and I don't even know, I kind of went off on a tangent, but I think that the punk rock part of it is like, it gave so much and a lot of it is very important. The ideals I think are going to get you, they probably got you mostly where you are today.
100%.
And myself included. But there are things that are just contradictory. And it's like, you don't necessarily see that when you're a kid. But as you get older, it's like, well, this is fucking real life. Like, these ideals are going to get you ahead in life. But you shouldn't also, like, it's okay to get ahead. Like, if you work for it, it's okay to get ahead. Like, you don't have to stay in the gutter. Like,
amen.
You know what I'm saying?
Look how many fucking bands, dude. I remember we would all be around here talking shit. And I'll just use the band that helped us out most, dude. And I'm friends with Andrew now to this day, who's also Andrew from Strife. He sells real estate as well. But dude, like I remember locally, they were getting so pissed off. People were like, oh yeah, they're fucking asking for a guarantee. Like, I don't know where that fucking started. Like if I was like now, 2020 me,
yeah,
you don't want to be fucking Lou Pearlman managing the Backstreet Boys. But what I'm saying is, dude, this shit should have been a fucking business anyways. People should have had a business mind, and meaning that you just need to be able to take care of yourself and sustain enough to keep doing the work that you're doing is all. And that's all it was, right? But we're like, oh, you got, like you got to keep big business out of hardcore. I mean, I get all that, dude. That sounds great, but there's nothing wrong with bands getting paid.
Well,
to be able to survive, to go destination to I mean, look at this shit, dude. We're arguing about getting gas or fucking porn or a Taco Bell burrito.
Dude,
and getting in a fucking fist fight over that? Like, dude, asshole. Gas first so we can get there and food in my stomach next. Please. Thank you.
Well, and the problem is that if we don't, and I think a lot of people have finally figured this out, and I think because for the most part, it's not all 15-year-old kids anymore. There are older guys still involved. They figured out that if we don't figure out the business end of it, it's not going to be sustainable, and it's either going to disappear or fucking the big business that we don't want in it is going to come in and figure it out. You know what I mean?
You said something really, really awesome earlier about it's just like about helping. We still have an obligation to like sort of help people. So a kind of way that I live is you never should be looking down on someone unless you have your hand outstretched to help them up, right? That's kind of the golden rule for me. Like, right, there's people you can help and people you can't, but for the most part, I'm always looking for opportunities to help. But one of the things that I have as an example, this might frame something nicely for anyone listening that is running a business, and it also ties into what we just said about you got to have money to sustain. My mission statement, like for my team, what I make people sign on, like I have to have team member buy-in with my real estate company, which is people are not a number, right? They're not. We never treat people like a number, and money is merely a byproduct of doing a good job, right? See, you solve problems for a living, you're going to get paid proportionate to the level of the problems you're going to solve. Money comes, dude. Serve first. Money always comes, right? Do good work, create good art, fucking be passionate about what you're doing. Guess what? Money eventually fucking shows up. Chase money, you're going to be broke as fuck, dude. I chased money. I tried to chase money in the beginning because that's what I thought I had to do. I'm a fucking real estate agent. Fuck this. Punk rock's behind me, dude. I'm putting on a tie. I mean, you can see me on this screen. I go to work in a black t-shirt and tattoos, and I just tell people I don't give a fuck anymore. And guess what? The more authentic I am with who I am now, that's how I made that transition, as I mentioned on an episode of my podcast. Going from like the politician to the, like going from, what is it? What did I call it? Oh, people pleaser into like a truth teller. People pleasers can make a little bit of money, but like, dude, it's about releasing yourself. You said you're not happy. You're not quite happy. You're not doing exactly what you want to do. That's the trick. That's where your film keyed in, dude, is like, where is the line between here's what I have to do, here's what I love, here's what I'm committed to, this is what I bleed and die for, and making the money. Like, it's so fucking weird, right? And you might strike gold somewhere down the line, right? You just might. But like every person in your film, for me, like I just felt like, holy shit, dude. Like I want to go sit round table right now. Like I buy stuff from Greg.
Yeah.
Like I got maces, I have hangman ropes, I fucking get on his content. I have, apparel that I buy from him. Why? Because I want to support people whose mission is like more in line with how I am, dude. I fucking love his dark edge, dude. Like there's like, I mean, if you're not from where we came from, you might look at someone like Greg Walsh's shit from the outside and be like, I don't know, man, what is that? Right? It's not for me. But if you look at the people who are like loyalists to what he do, they all look like me. They're tattooed. They're fucking. They want to be aggressive. They want to swing around fucking maces. They want to be like almost like uber intense. I love that shit. For me, I love it. I think that dude's spot on. And why is he spot on? Because he's him. Like I don't feel like there's any fake. Like there's nothing phony about him coming off.
Right.
So the trick is, so how do you take all stuff like that in your life and monetize it to its fullest? Where there is no compromise. Like, no, dude, I'm going to be me. And like he's doing, I think he has like franchises of his little brand going, right? In other cities.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know, I don't know his financials, obviously, but I think he's doing all right. I think he was doing a bit better before this year.
Sure.
But that's everyone.
But what I'm saying is he's still trying to grow his brand. Forget finance.
Yeah, right.
What I'm saying is he's growing.
He's psyched on it and he's happy. I know that. Or he's you never know who's really happy, but like he seems happy. He seems like he's fully into his mission, and I guess that's the bottom line. Like he's not bummed on what he's doing, from what I can tell.
I didn't think there was anybody that I watched in your film to me that seemed like they were bummed on what they were doing. Everyone had a little different take on it, little slant, right?
Yeah.
Chris from Bridge 9, like, dude, I mean, that guy's done quite a few things that I had no idea, like, with the clothing brand and stuff, and even little struggles and people fucking him over. And man, it's just crazy. What a journey, dude. What an interesting story, right? But that's a story that people need to hear.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I'm sorry. So like, I mean, the biggest thing that I take from all these guys, maybe not the biggest thing, but one big thing is that they're out there, they're doing it, they're living it. It's not all positive. A lot of it is, but some of it sucks. They're not all the most financially successful people, but that's not really
that's not the measuring stick, though. That's not the measure of success. It's not for me.
And I look at what they're doing, and I look at where I was at, 8 years ago or so. It's sitting in a cubicle under the, fluorescent lights, like just miserable. Just because I was getting paid to basically warm a seat, and I was just like, this is killing me.
That's death right there.
It was.
That shit is fucking death, dude. So 2008. This will be a nice little interruption to this whole thing. So 2005, I became self-employed. Real estate was doing great. Right around 2007, everything took a shit. So here I am, very early 2005. I'm new in the business. I'd come from the corporate realm. I literally fucking burned the bridges, set the ships on fire. Fuck it. I'm out. I'm going to go be a real estate agent. I don't care how I do it, whatever. So I'm trying to cut my teeth on anything I could. I started working for somebody. I ended up working with a team, a group of people for 5 years straight. I put my head down, didn't say a word. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, boss. Whatever you want. But in 2008, shit was getting real fucking spicy around here because of the economy crash. And I'm so resourceful that I'm never going to sit here and just fucking die and wait for a handout. So, dude, I took a job. Like I was working a job like 5:30 in the morning until 1:30 in the afternoon. Then I'd get to the real estate office at 3 and I'd stay there till fucking 10. Then I'd go home and sleep at midnight. And then I'd wake up again at 4:30 or 5 in the morning and do this shit every fucking day.
Yeah.
For like 9 months, I worked 2 jobs, right? But that cubicle life, that sort of weird call center dental sales job that I took was fucking weird, man. Like I remember I don't want to say I felt like I was too good for that. I felt that I was definitely felt for myself. I felt I was better than that. Like my potential was to be fully realized in another way. And literally one day I just left in the middle of a sales meeting when they're like trying to set all the, and I talked about this, like the guy's setting all these rules for how we're going to operate the call center. And I'm like, dude, listen here, Jack, fuck you. How's that? I like literally went outside and I just jumped in my fucking car and left. It is like in the middle of the day. I'm like, fucking peace out. I had tested for the sheriff's department out here, bro. I was one step away from being a police officer.
Yeah.
You know? And all of that made me dig deep. I guess all I wanted to say is this. I went back to my mission. Dude, no. Who am I? Where do I want to fucking end up? I want the freedom, right? And real estate gives me freedom. It allows me to be creative. I can make all the decisions. I don't have to answer to nobody. I was on my own. So in 2010, I just started my own team, like my real Brian Melville Incorporated team, right? Like now it's all my show. I don't have to say yes sir, yes ma'am, nobody. Peace. You know? And that was the moment. It was that doubling down on myself, saying I'm not going to sit under fucking fluorescent lights in a call center. I'm not going to be a cop, which I love cops, dude. Most of my friends are cops. Yeah. But that just wasn't my life, dude. That's not for me, right? My life was to do this, man. I feel like I want to make a contribution to the world to make it a better place. And as fucking blustery and shitty as I can be as a person, like, man, my heart is huge, bro. I care about people. Like I want to share and help and connect in a way that inspires someone to say, man, don't you give up on your dream either. Don't accept that.
And I think you said something about, you know, feeling like you were better than other people, and I don't think that's what you said, but not wanting to say that you were better than other people. It's not that you're better or that anyone's better, but the people who get out, they stop settling for that, because I think most people are better than that. You know, I think most people, if they really took a hard look at what they're capable of, they have more potential than to sit there and deal with that bullshit. You know what I mean? A lot of times people are in different phases in life, and sometimes you got to just get a paycheck. You know what I mean? So you got to do what you got to do.
Got to do what you got to do.
But as soon as you figure a way, I mean, there's the sideways in or out of something, like go for it. You know, do like you were. The thing that's funny about that situation is that was a job you were working. It sounded like, you know, above and beyond what you really wanted to be. That was almost your side hustle. It was almost backwards. So it was like your side hustle was the shitty
the economy was starting to go bad. Real estate was really weird at that exact moment. Right. It like took off again after that. But what had happened was this guy I was working for, dude, bless him too, by the way. He's still like a fucking fatherly dude to me, man. I love him. So I owe him so much. His name's Paul. And dude, but Paul was giving me like money like every month. He's like, Brian, like, here, I'll pay you like $3,500 a month right now just to like get by, just whatever, you know, just until real estate starts to turn around for you. I was still trying to figure it out. Right. And dude, I just didn't want to take his money. Like, I just didn't want it. I was like, no, I got to go get it. Yep. So without fucking warning, man, I fucking walked out the door on him and just like told him, hey, Pablo, that's what I used to call him. Like, I'm coming in at 3 today, dude. Cause, or one, you know, as soon as I get off work, but I took a job at 5 in the morning till 1:30. And he's like if someone worked for me right now and just said, oh, by the way, I'm not really fucking here anymore until 3, I'd say, hey, fuck off.
Yeah.
Hey, that's awesome. Don't let the door hit you, and I'll let the new person come in. But,
Right.
Dude, he was so fucking good to me, and he understood and saw me for what I was and saw value in me there and didn't give me shit, man. He was so great about that. But I just my pride, my own self-esteem was tied to not accepting any more money from him. And add to that, like my wife had gone through breast cancer like 2005. So like everything, dude, my world was fucking topsy-turvy, bro. Yeah. I'm like newly self-employed, wife gets cancer. I'm in a new business, and then the world collapsed. We just bought a house. Like I bought it, and like 6 months after buying it, after getting up to debt in my fucking eyeballs, like the market collapsed. I lost like $200,000 on my house, like overnight. Hey, see ya. And I'm in the business, right? So it's just kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We bought a house in 2005, so that was bad timing.
There you go. There you go.
And then in 2000, so I mean, 2008 was, dude. Just to relate, I went from when I stopped working with Ian, I took on some contract gigs, and I was getting paid like $80 an hour, which is for me at the time in 2008, 2007, that was good. Yeah. I was doing pretty well. That ended, and then for the next 6 months, I was delivering pizza because it was the only fucking thing I could find. And then, I took the next couple of years, it was just like, I was trying to do my things, some freelance stuff on the side, keep it going, but I had to take gigs that were just like, I don't want to say below me, but they weren't really the level of thing that I should be doing, and they weren't compensating what I needed. And then until I finally went back out on my own, and it was like, no one's going to pay me what I feel I deserve. So I'm going to figure out a way to pay myself. And I'm still working on that. And I'm still doing things that I don't always want to do. But, you said something about freedom. And to me, like as an adult, I think some people are just made differently. Like I can't fathom having to ask someone permission how I'm going to spend my time. Like,
nope.
Like my kid's sick, I have to take care of him. Not sorry, you can't do that. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, I don't know how people can do that. My wife has a 9-to-5. She's got a good job. Like people she works for are good. Like they're accommodating, but man, a lot of the jobs like that are not. And like, I don't know how people can deal with making that decision.
What's weird though is, so you're self-employed now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she has the 9-to-5, so I'm assuming she probably has like health benefits, stuff like that.
Yeah, and that I gotta say right up front, that's very. Without that would have been real tough for me to do what I'm doing.
So we're in the same boat, right? My wife has had a job for now 20 years. I got her the job where she's at when I was at the company. But dude, there is something to be said about like, dude, you're going to have me be the risk taker entrepreneur, and I need her to be just, steady as they go. She makes a decent living, but those benefits are fucking insane, dude.
Right.
I had a tooth pulled out of the front of my fucking head the other day because it was damaged from when I was a kid. I got to get an implant and shit. It's like nuts. And I don't even have to pay for that. Like it's covered 100%. And it's so you get to this point, dude, where you live in a fucking alternate universe, and where I found that I have to check myself is if you go run in circles with people that are doing what you're doing, I mean, that's great. I try to even hang with people that are doing stuff that I want to do. But like those people aren't worried about their fucking tooth falling out. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And then I'll go talk to somebody else, and he's like, dude, I don't even have any insurance, and I don't even know how I get by every month. And I'm just like, fuck, dude. These are those imbalances in the world that I think people feel right now, right? Is that level of like, so have or have not? I mean, I put myself in a position, but if she loses that job, I'm paying for my fucking tooth to get extracted. Like these things cost money, dude.
Right.
Like this is a real, like the healthcare issue is a real thing that I have not had to experience fully myself yet, but I know lots of people who do. So I'm very sensitive to like, I never try to get like like on my fucking high horse about where I'm at. Like I never forget where I came from, and it's so, but the life of the self-employed, man, like listen, it's all risk all fucking day. You and me sitting here right now, technically, if I'm not trying to go secure new business, Like I'm unemployed right now. Right. 2-hour diversion to make a podcast. I'm unemployed because I'm doing something else. Right. But the point is, I always want to get into the put myself in what I call the fuck you position, which is I do what I want, when I want, with whom I want, with whomever I want. Right. And that's it. That's that freedom. Set yourself up so that you can go do things like pursue another passion or start another company or just fucking continue on with the initial goal that you had. Like you have to find a way though. You got to give people actionable steps, man. There's like that get 1% better every day. I mean, we're in control. Man, you got to just you got to say, I'm going to put one foot in front of the other and I'm going to take one click to the right today. And tomorrow I'm going to do it again and again and again and again. And a year from now, if you just focus on that, instead of trying to worry about these fucking huge directional changes all the time, you can't pivot that often and make that much change in your life, especially in these times. Some people can, but they're going to be the exception. They're not going to be the rule. You know what I mean? So you have to do what you have to do. And if it's important to you, you're going to find a way to make time. One thing I've learned, I'm telling you, maybe I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. During this pandemic, one thing that I learned, I was busy being busy. I'm a business owner. Oh my God, I got to be at the fucking office for 14 hours a day. I'm coming home late. I'm just always so stressed out. And I realize now that I can work fucking 3 hours a day. Honestly, I'm as effective working 3 hours a day from home, play guitar for fucking 2 hours, work out for 2 hours, work for 3, do a podcast with Anthony. Like, look, we're fine, right? It still works. Right. It like put shit in perspective, dude. Like the world was just too overblown in so many ways. It's weird.
I would say, because I've kind of realized that about a year or so ago, is like I'm spending a lot of time like what you just said. I could probably get by only working 3-4 hours a day and it wouldn't change what I'm doing financially at all. But it wasn't like that from the get. Like it took a while to get there. And this year's a little scary because I'm hoping it will get back to being like that. But once you build it up to a certain point, then yeah, you probably can do that, but not at the beginning. And it's hard. And going back to what you're saying about, actually both of our wives basically covering our ass with the health insurance and having almost like there's the safety net in a way,
Yep.
I think we're both very lucky to have that because, I remember looking at my wife and when I quit the last full-time job I had, it was just like I couldn't, it was breaking me from the inside out. Like they were accusing me of shit that I wasn't doing. And just like, it was just demoralizing. And I was like, I have to leave. I can do better. Like, I know I can do better. And she, luckily, like to her, I give her all the accolades in the world for letting me do it. It's just like she just told me to do it. She's like, go ahead, do it. We'll figure it out. And it took a year or two before, it took the first year it was fucking miserable as far as like how much money I brought in. It was like almost nothing. The next year I just about matched what I was doing. And the year after that, I was like doubled it. So it was like, that was a fucking, it took a little bit, but in the long term, it was a no-brainer. And it's been going well, but like you said, it's every day things could fucking turn on a dime, and having them, to carry that is a big deal, and not everyone has it. So it's hard to just be like, yeah, just fucking quit your job and do it. Like I would never say that to someone. Everyone's situation is so different. But the thing is, it was like you were saying, like you can get there even if you don't have someone behind you like that. It's helpful. It's a huge help. But you can make small steps to get there, and everyone wants everything like so quickly. I'm even guilty of that now. It's just like, I want my documentary to just fucking blow up so I can quit doing all these other shit. And that's not how it works, man. Like
what has to happen, like in the space of what you did, like what is the process to what does blowing up look like? I mean, is it a distribution goal? Like what is it? What's the benchmark for you where it's like blowing up, or I made it, or at least I established this documentary's place where it needs to fucking be, and I'm like, and now that's my springboard for everything else that I need to do.
There's money, like financially, where it's like where I could stop doing the other things that I'm doing. I mean, I don't know if that'll ever happen, but if it could take a good chunk off of the other stuff that I'm doing, I mean, we're very far off from that. We'll just put it that way.
I was thinking of something, first of all, because you're so awesome. And the first thing you said to me, hey man, I'll send you a link to my documentary. And I'm like, fuck no, I'll pay for it with everybody else.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Because guess what? It's not a lot of money. But like, I know there's some cheap motherfuckers out there. And the thing that I hate when my friends expect me to do everything for free. So one empowering thing I've done as a business owner is just, I can't do shit for free for you, man. I'm sorry. I just can't, right? This is my life. I'll do some breaks for you, do some shit here or there. And I get it. It's like, oh, it gets real difficult, I would imagine, in your space when it's like, oh, it's just a link here. I'll send it to you. But dude, just a link turns into just a link to just a link.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I get it.
Well, there's certain people, it's just like, man, I just want them to fucking see it. You know what I mean? Because it's like...
Yes. Well, that's the goal. Ultimately, see it. I mean, you could distribute it for free and hope that it turns into something. Okay, cool.
Right. And I almost went that way, and it's like, no, I can't do that because I want to be able to make more, and I don't know what that's going to lead to. So, I mean, I'm talking to some distribution places now that, shit, it could... You never know. You never know. It could be big enough where it's like I could quit everything else I'm doing.
Why... Is there a way to get that on like a small like network of some kind? I mean, like that's something that like I would see like on a like Vice channel or something.
Yeah.
Like that I would be into watching. Like I fucking watch reruns of King of the Road like obsessively. Right?
Well,
like,
I know. I mean,
why couldn't this be on there?
And that's one of the reasons. It's like one of the reasons I made it the way I made it. It's like I'm watching these I'm put on Netflix and I'm watching like a docuseries on shit that I don't give a fuck about. But this is holding my interest, and I'm watching season after season.
Exactly.
So it's like something that I actually care about, done like this and done this well, hopefully done, even close to that well. It was like, that should hold people's attention. And so I am talking to some distributors that would hopefully basically get it on anything and everything with the exception of Netflix. That would be amazing.
I'm dying for content like this though, right? Like that's what's lacking. I feel like this fucking demographic, like us, is so underserved by so many people. It's like,
and
dude,
I feel the same. Yeah.
Yeah. It just needs to be there.
Right.
Because how many people are into like all kinds of sports, whether it be skating, snowboarding, whatever. They're like into hardcore. They're into they were into bikes before they ever did anything else. They started on a skateboard before they were a professional snowboarder, right?
Right.
Like this kind of thing, it starts not just with the thing,
right,
but like it's also about like the passion and about the mission that the person's doing and like all of it. And by the way, dude, I could watch fucking Sonny going around on his bicycle in fucking slow-mo with the hair like all day long. Dude, it's like magical, dude. It's like mesmerizing every time you fucking have it. I'm like, how the fuck does he do that?
Yeah, man, I don't understand how.
Rad, dude. It's like amazing. Just fucking amazing.
I don't even know half the stuff that he's doing. I didn't even know he rode BMX until, I just knew he was the dude who shot shows, and then someone connected us, and I was like, oh wow, all right. So it made sense, and I mean that's one of the reasons I made it. It's like there isn't this content. I mean, unless I'm missing it, I don't think there's something out there that really would speak directly to us. But I also feel like it's got to have a wider audience, because I know, like, I listen to all these different types of podcasts with these different people, and like you always feel, and sometimes it comes out and sometimes it doesn't, but there's always this like little undercurrent where they'll mention something and you're like, that's a fucking hardcore dude, or like he used to skate. Yeah, like totally. I know it. I mean, you mentioned Jocko earlier. Wasn't he like one of the original? Like, wasn't he down with like the Boston fucking hardcore dudes back in the day? Like.
So I don't know that part of the story. Scott, I'll ask him next time, because he's much closer with Jocko. Like I think he definitely like has interactions with him, because like Scott's really like bought in on the mission of Echelon Front Online, which, by the way, anybody should check out if you're interested in like extreme ownership and leadership and tactical applications for your life. I mean, dude, they were doing like a COVID thing where it was like $12 a month. And Scott's like, hey, dude, you got to sign up for this. And like I was paying like $4,000 a month for a business coach. I'm like, you're telling me this shit's $13 a month? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, dude, there's more here for $13 a month than some of the shit I was getting where I was paying $4,000 a month.
Right.
I mean, it's fucking true, dude. And these dudes, because they want to like listen to like a military guy. So you get on there and it's like this Zoom call, and there's fucking like, I don't even know how many people are on it now, maybe a couple hundred, but nobody's like interrupting. And like you get Jocko on there, and if you ask him a question, he's going to respond right to you and talk about it and put you on the camera, and they'll dialogue and you get to hear about it. But like these dudes are like real, like indoctrinated into like that sort of military thing, and that's not quite my thing.
Yep.
But one thing that I learned is the biggest thing is check your fucking emotions, dude. For me to just slow down and stop reacting, right? Like I'm a very reactive person, right? Like you fucking cross me, that's those triggers to being like a kid, right? Like, or something gets me upset, I want to fucking lash out, or I want to solve it, or I want to eliminate it right away. And I'm just like, okay, dude, breathe. Just, it's all good. So yeah, that kind of stuff. But yeah, that guy, I mean, I wouldn't doubt, to your point, like maybe he had some ties to some skateboarding shit. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, so I don't know. So I did hear him on a podcast. Greg mentioned something about it to me, and I was like, really? So I did some Googling, and I found him on a podcast, and he was talking about his friend who ends up, you know Elgin James?
I know the name.
Boston dude.
Yep. Wasn't he like the head of something like some group?
Yeah.
I saw him in a documentary. That's the guy. He had like the fuzzy coat on in one of the videos. I don't remember.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, they were friends back in the day, and he talks about that a little bit. Elgin actually is, that FX show, The Mayans. Yeah. He actually like wrote and directed that. Like he's doing well.
What?
Like he went on,
I love that show.
He got his shit together. Let's just put it that way. That's a story I'd like to hear, because
dude, that would be,
that's a turnaround.
You should make that your fucking mission. You should get somebody like that on, dude. That'd be awesome.
Well, I don't, yeah. But anyways, like I'm pretty sure they kind of came up together from if I'm remembering the story he told, and I don't even know why it was brought up, but it was in there, and it was one of those things that, like, I don't know. The point was that it's like, I know that, like, if you just scratch under the surface a little bit, there's a lot of people out there that could relate to this type of thing.
Is there some weird tie to that show, Wayne, or is that just a show that you found?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's another one. I don't know that guy, but he's from Brockton, Mass. He's friends with a guy who's also from the hardcore scene. He used to, that I used to ride BMX with. And like, he posted something, my friend Rick posted something about it, and saying, oh, this is my friend from Brockton, you should check out his show. So I went and watched it, and it's like, and I looked at the guy's Facebook or whatever. It's like, he's a old hardcore BMX dude who made this legit show. I don't know if you watched it at all, but
I've watched it all. I'm fucking in love with it, dude. And
yeah,
there's like a fucking like a punk indie thing about it. Like every little thing, all those little like cuts, like when someone walks in a room and you hear the guitar chord strike, and then like, like you turned me on to it because you said, go watch this BMX Youth of Today. So I'm like, okay, I had to wait a few episodes to get to the Youth of Today.
Right,
I'm like, oh fuck, but dude, I was hooked.
I mean,
I can't stop.
There's some, like, when he starts dancing, it's a little goofy, but it's like,
no, dude, it's great.
I put the trailer on, and like 10 seconds into the trailer, I was like, I'm watching it. And my wife had the same exact reaction. She didn't even want to finish the trailer. She's like, stop it, let's go watch it. I was like, Jesus. And it didn't disappoint.
It's like Shameless meets something else. You know, it has that grittiness of Shameless, which I love anyways, but like a little less.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it had a better story. Like Wayne's like a really cool story, and the weird quirky cast of characters and shit. I'm like, so yeah, it's one of those shows to me. When you mentioned it, I just assumed that maybe there was some sort of like, I don't know what do you want to call it, dude? Subculture, counterculture shit, like tie into that, because it just feels that way to me, right?
Yeah.
Like it feels like what look like what you're doing. It's like you go from like riding your skateboard and making a fucking little video with your friends to like elevating your shit to actual filmmaking, and you're like, wow, look, but it still has that edge to it, and that's how that show felt to me. I was like, oh, rad.
Yeah, it was, and it was like, so I guess he's a writer, and I guess he wrote for he was one of the writers on Deadpool. He done specific, but this was like his baby, and I just saw, sometimes you think like, it's going to be kind of low budget or whatever. But I guess it was on YouTube Red, and then that whole thing collapsed, and then Amazon bought it up, and it's hopefully going to be able to do a season 2. But, I watched that trailer, like I said, 10 seconds in, I was like, holy shit, this looks awesome. It's like if someone gave, it's exactly like if someone gave a hardcore kid the means to make a legitimate show. yeah, it's not always going to come out good, but if he has any talent at all and those sensibilities, this is what would come out, you know?
I just love it, dude. The title, the graphics, all the shit. It's just every part of it is like, I love it, dude. My wife was even hooked on it too, man. And I like anything that's kind of set in Boston, dude. Like gritty, like, you know, like Philadelphia, Boston, like these places that look really gritty. Those backdrops are always like so perfect, man. It's like amazing.
And the neighborhood guys, like, I think he's only in like one season, but the guy in the leather jacket walking the dog at that one point, that was so spot on. There was so many guys like that in the neighborhoods I lived in when, you know, I mean, even 20 years ago, it just felt authentic.
You wouldn't even find a fool like that here, dude, anywhere in California. No, you're like, you wouldn't even believe it. Even when they try to make shows, like if you watch random shows like Animal Kingdom, and they're like wannabe Point Break surfer, bank robbery, heist shows. They're like, it's so not fucking believable, dude. You're like, oh, you guys suck. There's no grit. There's no grit at all. You're just like, fuck off.
Well, dude, that we got super sidetracked. That's fine. That show is amazing. Anyone out there should go watch Wayne. I want to see a season 2, so please support season 1.
And Cobra Kai's coming back, man.
Get that's a good one too.
But dude, talk about all the feels.
But one thing I did want to hit on, and we won't go on it too long because we're at an hour and a half, so I don't want to keep you too long. But like you mentioned it earlier, and I wanted to come back to it, is that whole notion of kind of like imposter syndrome. Because, I mean, you know, people talk about it a lot, but like it's one of those things where I feel like, you know, like I said, when I saw that it seemed like you were unhappy, like whatever that was 20 plus years ago, it was like I identified, I was like, it's kind of almost like you sniff each other out in a way. Yeah. It's like, yeah, cause I felt the same way and I had the same, you know, feeling. And like, I think some of this stuff is important for people to hear. It's like, I felt that way a lot through my life. I mean, fucking singing for all of a sudden going from like no one that anyone really knew, singing for this hardcore band that kind of came out of nowhere and blew up, and everyone was like, who is this guy? Like, talk about imposter syndrome. Like I felt like a fucking poser the whole time. And I always, like, you know, I skated and I rode BMX, and I always felt like I had one foot in this place and one foot in this place, never fully accepted by any of them. So like, and then going into anything that I did professionally, it's like, I didn't go to film school. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And just trying to like fake my way through it. It's like imposter syndrome my whole life. And like even today, man, so yesterday I went on, I don't know why, but I went back over to No Echo because they did a little write-up, which was for the doc that I was doing. And I noticed, there's 5 comments down there. So I go and I look, and the first one is LaCroix, awesome as usual, just giving me like a shout out. And then the other ones are like, yeah, no offense, but this dude didn't actually really win an Emmy, blah, 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 blah. And it was like, what they were saying was true. What the guy said was true. So, but if you know how this shit works, I won a New England Emmy editing a show. And like, typically there's like, there's a team of people who work on a show. That's how TV is. And there's different the Emmy Awards is not just that national thing that you see on TV. There's local awards, right? So I guess what he wanted me to put was like New England Emmy Award winning editor, also with a team of, 5 other people. Like in it's like, that's not how this shit works, man. Like, I'm not one, like, first of all, I don't put much stock in awards to begin with. I think they're kind of bullshit, but unfortunately that's the way, you got to get people's attention to look at something somehow. You know what I mean? So I put that in, and I almost didn't even put it in when I tried to do like my little fucking announcement or whatever. Like, I almost didn't put it in there because it's like, like I said, I don't put much stock in awards. So this dude's like, he's calling me out like I'm a fraud or something. And it's just like, no. So like, that kind of shit gets into my head. And like, I responded to him, just basically told him what I told you. And it's like, yeah, man, it's, maybe it's, I'm sorry if that seemed like dishonest, but this is how it works. And this is why I put it there. But that kind of shit fucks with me, man. Like for 2 days, I was like bummed about it.
Dude, I feel that. Listen, this is a real deal thing, but the truest evolution, the best thing that has ever happened to me is being able to get past that. So here's the question I always ask someone. I just like the old saying, just consider the source, dude. Like, right? Anyone who's criticizing you, I don't give a fuck who they are, is not doing more than you. And that's not to sound arrogant, but I get the fucking hate all the time in the business out here, right? I'm a fucking tattooed real estate agent. I do shit my way. I make fucking videos every day. I go live on Instagram. I go live on Facebook. I do shit that all these old fucks don't want to do, right? So they always have an opinion. Oh, Brian does it, you know, and it used to bug me, right? I was like, and the fear. And then I'm like, the anxiety. And then they go, I want to steal my secret sauce. And I was like, one day I'm like, fuck off. None of you are ever going to do what I'm doing. Even if I gave you my playbook for every fucking thing and I gave you a dot-to-dot instructions, here, do this, you'd never execute it because you're not me, right?
Yep.
But hate and criticism is going to come no matter what, and every time it comes from someone who's definitely not doing more than you. So it's just like this, dude. You're a damaged fucking motherfucker. I don't know what's wrong with you that you have to tear other people down, and I felt that, dude. My own projection, internalization of my own imposter syndrome used to make me criticize people at times, right? You just like you run your mouth for no reason sometimes, dude, right? I've been there. I'm being honest. Like I've been there. I still have to check myself every now and again because you're like, what? And instead, I always, going back to my Jocko thing, like take a moment to fucking pause. Take a breath for 10 seconds, check your emotions and say, dude, how can I be happy for this person? And you know what? I just get focused on the encouragement of people. Like when it comes to that, like especially like my friends, we start there. But if it's good, it's good, man. You just got to like not let your own insecurities, because that's all it is. You're just projecting your own shit. So it has nothing to do with you. It just has everything to do with that person, right? But imposter syndrome is real. Like that fear of like, wow, dude, no matter how well it seems that I'm doing, like, so like from the outside, okay, TYF. Like, dude, you got to do every fucking thing that I'd ever want to do in a band. Yet, you still seem like it's like, you know, I just kind of fell into it, whatever it is. The band that never should have been. It's like a joke, and we just happen to go around the fucking world and, you know, or touring in Europe and do. I mean, you did rad stuff, dude. Yeah. Like, amazing, rad stuff. And you know what? I did rad stuff, too. It wasn't on the same level as yours, so I value the experience that I had. I only dream, dude. So your own...
Well,
like,
you've done other stuff, though. At least it's cool.
But hear me out on this. I have a fucking photo, and if we were doing like a live, I could like show you the photo and then like put it on the screen. But I like broke this guitar in my bedroom here in 2018. I called my business coach. I was like, fuck. Just smashed this fucking acoustic on purpose. I was so fucking fed up because I had like a shittier year than I had in all my years, and my ego was telling me, you're the fucking king, you know. I was like fucking beating my fucking chest. You got this, man. You fucking earned this. And then I did the Warped Tour thing, and that diversion cost me income. Now, all the while that year or two where I was really kind of dipping my toe back into the water to play music a little bit, I was still doing great. But I got knocked off of my fucking my throne at the top where I was, expecting that I would keep doing better and better and better every year, and I fell. A little. And my coach, my friend, David, he's like, Melville, what the fuck is wrong with you? He goes, dude, like I coach people every fucking day, dude. You realize like your failure right now, the shit you're bitching about is this person over here at this other real estate office that I coach. That's their North Star, dude. They'll feel like they are the goddamn fucking king of the world if they even fell short of where you're complaining about.
Right.
And I was like, wow. So I've saved that picture of the guitar as a moment where I had a fucking breakdown that was absolutely worthless, dude. My rage was taken out on this shitty garage sale guitar. And what was I crying about, dude? I was crying about my fucking little hurt feelings and my ego. And I wanted to be mad that I ended up fucking quitting out of a band again because like just like when I was in Eyelid or when I was younger and I wanted to do more, I found myself wanting to like, let's keep going. Let's do some more shit. And then I felt like, dude, but none of them are going to do that. They all still have their lives. Travis is in Atreyu. I'm not really a member of this band. They just called me to like hang out and like, it's cool. And they're putting up with my shitty guitar playing, right? So all my stories were going on in my own head, none of which were coming to me from them, right?
Right.
but I sabotaged my own self. So then what had happened is, if I'm being real, I fucking just took it out on myself when I looked at my income too. I'm like, oh, those fucking dudes, it's their fault. It's all this, you know, I just fucking went crazy for no reason. When all I needed to say was, God, dude, like life's still amazing, dude. Like I look back on it now and I'm like, I want to do it again.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just my own feelings of inadequacy caused me to lash out at everybody around me in that one moment. Dude, it was like a fucking tornado. Just and I had to have someone check me and say, hey, dude, you're stupid. What is that? And then I started slowly apologizing to Russ and my friends in the band. And hey, dude. And I cut the other two dudes off because I wasn't really close with them ever anyway. So I've still never even reconciled that in like 2 years. It's weird though, right? So like we all go through it, man. Like it just, you know, the point is own your space, dude. Just stay in your fucking lane and say, you know what? This is me. I don't care. Yeah. I'm good. I'm good enough, man. I am good enough. You know why? Because I'm making a difference. I'm doing what I want, taking care of my family. I'm fucking happy today. I'm happy today. Like there's this, like right now, I ask myself that, am I happy today? And most of this day, right now, I was not happy.
Okay.
I stayed in bed until 3:00 because I was tired from the weekend. I just laid in bed all day, sitting on socials, doing nothing, sitting there with my dog while my wife was downstairs working. And then I started getting happier because I'm like, dude, I'm gonna get on with Anthony. I'm gonna do a fucking podcast. Yeah. And I just got, I got stoked, dude. I got my act together. I'm like, dude, I'm excited. And look, now you and I are doing something that's gonna be contributing to somebody, and my energy is like off the chart. I feel better about myself now, and this will then carry over for the rest of the night, and definitely will carry over tomorrow, dude. So you just have to keep going.
Yep.
Don't ever quit.
Yep. Definitely, man. Definitely. You know, I agree with everything you said there 100%. But when, I don't know about you, when sometimes it gets into my head and I'm like, logically, I'm like, fuck, they haven't done anything. Like, what are they doing? You know, like, and cause I had that all the way back, even back with 10-Year Fight. Cause like, even back then there would be trolls fucking talking shit. And it was just like, I just remember it just even, I think I have some songs about it, maybe not in 10-Year Fight, but it probably, but it's just like, who are you to say anything? You're not doing anything. You're like, cause you see that all throughout the hardcore scene. There's always kids bitching, you know, it's like, they're not the ones making zines. They're not the one booking shows. They're not the ones out there in the bands. Those are always the kids that are just bitching and complaining that the record's $4 instead of $3 when even though the fucking no one's making a dime on it. Like, but at the same time, as logical as all that is, and as much as I know it, it still fucks with me. And like sometimes it takes me a day or two. And then you know, like this weekend, man, I was just, I was just pretty burnt out, and it was like I had to get up early. Like there was no sleeping in this weekend. It was just like, you know, family shit and like stuff around the house, and like, you know, today I was just like dragging ass, and like kind of like what you were saying, man. Like earlier, man, I was not very happy until probably after dinner. I got a little bit. I don't know if I was just got a little like goofy tired. I started to get in a better mood, and then like coming on here was just like, you know, just like happy to do it. And like you said, it's just you got to keep going, because like you get through it, and that's all there is. You just keep going. What's your choice? You know what I mean? You got to drive off a bridge. That's not, you know.
Listen,
joked about that enough in my life, but it's not.
Here's something that I do know. Here's something that I do know, and there's a reason you're still doing this. It's not just to sort of showcase your documentary. Like if you're sharing, like you're trying to make, probably, at least I am. I'll speak for myself. I want to make my mess my message. Like I'm trying to be real, dude. I don't want to be showing you only the highlight reel, dude. I want to show you that, like, man, I actually have more down days than up days. That I live in fear and insecurity every day with my business, and anxiety every single day. And yet I'm doing it, dude. I'm crushing it. I'm doing well, right? But all of that is that, like, I've said this so many times, successful people and unsuccessful people, they all hate the same thing, which is doing the work. The difference is the doers of the world are just going to go do it anyway. Even when you're not feeling it, even when you want to get up at 4:30 in the morning and you're like, I'm not working out, fuck it. You're going to go do it anyway. So a dude like Scott Viscomi motivates me because he's up every day, takes a fucking goddamn photo of his watch, 4:30. I'm like, dick. And I didn't want to get up. And I get out there, and then I send him a video text, dude. I video text him all the time. Like, dude, listen, I'm out here. I'm sweating right now. I didn't even want to fucking do this, man. And I saw your video, and your video made me do it. And I just wanted you to know you made the difference. And dude, you know what? Full circle. He's like, man, thank you. Thank you for sharing that with me, right? Because it's like all about making that impact. So you just got to, you know what? People have to understand that not everything is not roses, man. Most often it's the opposite. Yep. I'm down more than I'm up emotionally, for sure. And even more so during this fucking COVID shit.
Yeah.
And even when I was up before, I think it was like fake, dude. If I'm being honest, like inside, I'm not always happy, dude. I'm a fucking misanthrope, dude. A lot of times I'm like, dude, I just fucking like, I want to just go in a hole and I don't want to see anybody. Or in my business, I have to see people all day. Right. So I have to be a goddamn chatterbox, and I'm like serving, and I'm like, oh my God, yeah. And all these people get the best of me. They get the best I have to offer, right? These people I serve get every fucking last ounce, dude. And then I come home and I got nothing left for my wife. Yeah. Nothing. Hey, I'm just really fucking tired. Do you mind if I just go sit down? I'm really sorry. And that's bullshit, dude. That's fucked up.
You know what's funny? Like, because I'm kind of the same boat. Like, if I have to go out and deal with people that I don't want to deal with, dude, even 5 minutes, I'm drained. Because I mean, it's just, I'm an introvert. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it drains me. But when I have these conversations with people that I want to talk to, I get off of here, and it's not just the caffeine that's keeping me going. Like, I'm legitimately like psyched, and my brain is going, and I'm just laying in bed, like trying to fall asleep, and I can't because I'm just like, it gets me. It energizes me, and it's for me that's strange because normally, like I said, when I have to talk to people. Like this whole COVID thing, man, I've been training for this my whole life. Like I sit at a computer all day long, but working from home for the last 10 years or so, or longer. And I would not see anyone all day long. And then my wife come home, and she's kind of the opposite. Like if she doesn't see anyone, that drains her. She needs people. Right. She feeds off people. So like, so I guess my point is like, it depends on who I'm talking to, I guess. I guess if you're doing the right thing, it will energize you. And I guess that was my point. I don't know. I'm losing it.
I'll break it down for you real easily. Because this is a guy that I study with. He focuses on like 4 areas of life, dude. He's saying in order to be like sort of fully weaponized as a man, to go take on the world, the shit that you need to do every day. So if you own a business and you're married particularly, or if you have children, which you do, I do not. But he focuses on this like body, business, balance, and being. So like your health, your relationship, your spirituality, like whatever. But dude, like the multi-dimensional player in the game of life has to master all of these things, dude. Because if you're fucking only good at work, guess what? I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna give my wife fucking 25% of what I got because I gave it all. So the point is, you got to do things like steps, like leave a note for somebody. Hey man, I love you. Like, hey, thank you so much for this, or what? Just little things you do, like when you're dating. These little things every day, right? I work through like a process, like an app that he has, where you focus on these things and you basically score your day, but it reminds you to do shit, and you journal a lot, and the journaling is helping me. But like the point being, is taking care of your health is key, dude. Like working out every fucking day, getting sleep, hydrating. Like I'm a fucking beast in the gym every day because and I'm old. Like, dude, I'm trying to be my best now. And when I take care of my body, my business gets better. And then when I start taking care of my business better in a more controlled setting, which is what COVID has taught me this year, is that I could do more with like less time. That gave me more time to be more than 25% with my wife. Right? So you understand, like, so that starts working, right? And then whether you're into God or spirituality or whatever, dude, do you. I don't really care. I'm not here to endorse anything. What I'm saying is I get in touch with my spirit source, and I spend time like just sort of meditating and talking, which means you're ultimately just talking to yourself and talking shit out and getting in touch with that energy. But not to sound all new age hippie, what I am saying is if you kind of focus on those 4 areas though, because these are the areas of your life. You're not just one thing. So cool, man. There's like a dude who's jacked in the gym, but he fucking sucks as a father. There's a guy over here that is really good in business, but he like cheats on his wife every fucking day. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the shit, man. And like, it's not to sound all like puritanical about stuff, you know, but like, come on, man. We grew up, at least if you were involved with straight edge and shit, it seemed like you had some like code of conduct. And the code of conduct was nothing more than don't do drugs and maybe don't eat meat, but you could go fuck girls all the time. That was stupid.
Yeah.
I gave into all that stupid shit, dude. And like, I suffered from all those little identities and chasing things that weren't really great. And like, dude, I've been with my wife for 21 years now. Like, it's amazing.
That's awesome,
dude.
Yeah.
But I guess, you know, and these aren't real sexy topics to talk about. Maybe people listening to this can be like, oh God, dude, shut the fuck up. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. I don't know. So be it, man. But all I'm telling you is I've succeeded at the game of life by focusing on 4 areas of my life and being intentional, you know?
Yeah. No, I think you're right.
Put your intention in the right areas, dude, and you're going to be fine. It doesn't have to, you know?
I think you're right, and I struggle with trying to keep those all in balance. I mean, last year I was doing so much better with the physical aspect of things. You know, I wasn't doing nearly what you're doing, but I was doing something. I felt like I was like 25 again. I was in real good shape. I was going out and shooting. This year I feel like I'm 65. Like I I let that slide, especially when I'm like nose down, like trying to get this project out, and just like I'm juggling. So trying to keep the physical aspect of things and the relationships and the business, like all that stuff at the same time. I've always had a hard time with something. Like I usually am able to focus in one area or the other, and it's just like I feel like I spent my 30s on my relationship and my kind of business.
Yeah.
And then when I got into my 40s, like I was fucking really unhealthy. Like I never had an operation in my life. And then all of a sudden I had to get my gallbladder out, my appendix burst. I had all this like just poor diet. And then the last couple of years I got that under control. And 2019 I was like, I got down to like fucking, my weight was lower than in high school. I was like in better shape than I was in high school. And now I'm like sliding back because I started focusing more on work, not necessarily even paid stuff, but this kind of shit, because it's filling up. It's fulfilling the more creative and like relationship side of things. I got to go out and hang and do all these things with these people and create this thing, and I feel like I'm like, hopefully helping people in some small way, and that's all fulfilling. But at the same time, now I feel like I said, the physical side of things has been like, I've been saying this to my wife like every day for the last like 6 months, like I gotta start doing fucking yoga again or something. Like I feel like shit. Like I can see like my back is starting to hunch again. It's just like, oh my God, what is going on? And so I guess my point being is like, it's hard to balance all these things. And I don't know anyone that does it perfectly, but you just got to keep, you got to keep trying, I guess. And that's what I'm going to keep doing.
Focus your intention on it and then give it your attention in the right ways, dude. It's a decision. Like everything else, you got to decide, man. I mean, listen, you featured Greg in there. Like I consume content off his website. I was actually looking out the window. I think my FedEx dropped off my 3rd mace. So I'll have 3 of his maces officially as of today, I think. I train with this shit, man. It's fucking amazing. And it's fun to mix it up and get out of traditional modes of training and movement anyways. I created a home gym even before COVID because I was just tired of the gym scene. So I did it about a year before. So I was like you. I was already ready for this moment, dude. Like COVID hits, I'm like, I'm in my fucking gym a couple hours a day. I just sit out in my garage and I do it. But find a way to get into that movement, dude. I would tell you that's one of the first things is getting your body like in motion and getting that energy right, dude. Because strength, it's longevity, man. We don't want to be fucking old, decrepit motherfuckers dying here, dude. Yep. Like people are fucking, the people that are out here screaming about these fucking masks in our city. I mean, I look at them, dude. They're like fucking 400 pounds, diabetic, drinking sodas, yelling at you for not wearing a mask. I'm like, shut the fuck up. I spent my whole life being healthy, dude. I'm sorry, but you should go stay inside. Don't get mad at me for walking. I mean, dude, I'm out in front of my house and people walk past my house while I'm in the garage. If I'm out at the curb near my car, they walk away and go across the street with a mask on down my street. It's fucking nuts, dude. I'm like, wow, hi.
That's a little much.
It's crazy here. But anyway, that's another whole story.
Yeah.
The point is, just get out and move, man. Breathe some air and get your blood flowing, dude. That's my advice to you.
Yeah. I agree.
I want to share one thing with you. Maybe this would even be in closing. I don't know. I just did I do a toy drive here for kids in our local community every year. Okay. So this is for a local child and family center for families in need. So they have lots of people working with their organization. They're big. So they there's people who select families. My thing that I started doing was just I collect fucking toys, dude. I use my influence. I use my tribe. I call my clients my tribe. I created a private Facebook group just for us to communicate only to them, dude, right? They deserve the direct line of communication from me, like leader to tribe, right? Like this is our spot. But there's something that I really realized, because we just did this on Saturday and our event was bigger than last year, meaning the amount of donations, the amount of giving, the contribution that these people made was greater than last year. Okay. During a fucking pandemic. And I just looked at my invite list and I was lining off and I only had 10 people that didn't come or do anything, and I usually expect much more drop off than that anyways. People commit and then you don't show up. But what I realized, and I posted about this all over my socials, and again today, man, I had this fucking tearful moment where everybody was gone. I'm in my office and I'm just fucking organizing these toys. I wanted to put it all together for this picture, because I do this so that I can meet with the director tomorrow and she comes and we can just kind of at least stand in front of it and do our thing and say, hey, here you go. And I want it organized, not just thrown all around my fucking office. But I realized something about my career, that it started with real estate sales, and everybody hates salespeople, right? It's oh, he's just about money. I don't like salespeople. You're like used car, right? It's just almost implied that salespeople suck. And I even hate salespeople, right? When you're working with someone on real estate, helping them get into a home is important, right? It's a huge contribution to their life if you help them do it right. But what I noticed was from this, being able to transition from business, I meet you, you're sort of my client, at least in the beginning, we're not even, maybe even really friends. And so many of these people I've become friends with, but we've now transcended all fucking business whatsoever. These people show up with a fucking text. Hey, I need you to come. The toy drive is this. Are you in? When they show up, being able to transition from a business operation to creating a community and building my tribe to then do good together. Dude, as a community, giving as a fucking group has nothing to do with real estate now. It's the connection we have. It's the power we have. It's the beauty of even fucking connecting with people in general, to take it from one place that started all fucking business where they might even hate you, if you don't do a great job, to they are an advocate and a fan and a believer and a supporter of you in such a way that they would fucking lay it all down for you to go give to others in need, dude. It's the most satisfying thing I've ever experienced, dude. It's incredible. And I think that if people would think of their businesses and their life in this way, don't be so short-sighted with people. Don't be so disposable with everything. Invest in your people, in your crew, in your community, and stick together. And then do good together, man. People want to give and they want to contribute to the world, dude, in a big way. And that shit just fucking filled me up. And maybe that's why I was just so tired today, dude. It was emotionally, I was just wow. Dude, my friend Chris said, Brian, what does your heart bleed for? He asked me about that, about my podcast or whatever, and trying to help me sharpen up my message. Cause it's just a question. If someone doesn't ask you that, and at the end, I just I want to help people achieve their dreams. I want to be an encourager of someone who's everyone told him, fuck you. You're never going to make it. You're worthless. You're least likely to succeed. Right? Because I felt all of those things. And to arrive at this place, it's my duty to not only move myself beyond that, but to encourage others and then build my business, my life, my brand, my community. And now I'm there doing great things together with these people that I serve, man. It's fucking awesome.
That is perfect, man. That is a perfect place to end this. That's a great message. I couldn't agree more. Not to get all podcasty on you, but do you have anything you want to anywhere you want to send people to check you out? This is now podcast.
Yeah, This Is Now podcast. There's like underscores in between every word, but if you typed in This Is Now podcast, you'd find it on Insta. And I don't even have a fucking YouTube for it yet, or anything else that I'm really promoting at this moment, but it's on Spotify. I haven't even uploaded it to Apple. I got to figure out how to do that. Do you got to like submit for like an approval or some shit?
I just do it through Anchor. I think Anchor, if you there's setting on there, just does it.
But there's some submission for Apple though. It doesn't automatically syndicate like it does everywhere else. So anyway, I'll figure. Yeah, but if you can find me on Insta or on Spotify, man, I'd love it if people would check it out. I mean, it's just I got 8 episodes up right now. Hopefully we get some more people interested. People want to. Maybe someone will message me and say, "Hey, man, I want to be on there. I got some stories. I want to talk about business. I want to talk about life." I don't really want to make it all political and crazy. I got lots of shit I could do and all that, but I'm trying to keep it more uplifting and not fucking like super angry. I might get on there and rant and rave at one point. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, I think you want to keep. Yeah, I think if you keep it positive, I think that's what people need.
Positive is probably a little bit better.
There's enough negativity out there right now without even looking for it.
You're not helping, right? It's like you see a video of someone posting some violence and shit going on. Yeah, I oppose all of the shit when I see it, but I almost feel like the person posting the violent video is just as fucking bad. You're contributing to my anxiety and you're not actually helping what's going on. You're just fucking pouring more kerosene on it. So got to keep that PMA, man. That's what we learned, right?
Awesome. Great place to leave it, man. Thanks again for doing this.
Thanks, brother.
All
Appreciate you, and we'll talk soon.
I hope you liked that conversation with Brian. If you're enjoying these podcasts, please just reach out and let me know what you're thinking. Feel free to leave a comment or a review or a rating in iTunes or Spotify. That would be great. That helps a lot. Also, don't forget to check out the 6-part Don't Stand in Line docuseries. It's now actually available up on Vimeo on demand, so it might be a little bit easier to get that straight to your TV than through Gumroad, but it's still up on Gumroad as well, and we are working on a couple other cool ways to get that to you. You can learn more about that and everything else we're doing at codecprojects.com, codecprojects.com. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. All right. Thanks again. See you next week with Bill Conway from the Hard Times.